Alright guys, so I was recently given early access to the upcoming Master of Command, a gunpowder strategy game developed by YouTube creator Armchair Historian, and it's safe to say this is one of the most exciting strategy games I've played in years. It's grounded, focused, and punishing in all the right ways. Every march, every volley, every loss matters, and in many ways it feels like the missing link between Total War and a true historical war game, something that captures the tactical beauty of Empire and Napoleon, but with the realism and grit of Command on the ground. In this video, I'm going to take you through everything you need to know about Master of Command and give you my early preview impressions of the game. So starting on the campaign side of things, this is set in the 7 Years' War. There are multiple factions to choose from, including Prussia, France, Britain, Austria, and Russia, each with its own roster of historical regiments, equipment, and doctrines. You'll start by assembling your initial force, a handful of weary recruits, a few officers, and whatever supplies you can afford, and from there you select a self-contained region to march into to see what lies ahead. Each act begins on a procedurally generated regional map, viewed in real time and covered by fog of war, and your main objective is to locate and destroy the enemy's encampment, but the route there is never straightforward. Along the way you'll stumble upon villages, ambushes, convoys, forts, battlefield wreckage. Some offer supplies or recruitment opportunities, others are traps waiting to bleed you dry, and every encounter is a choice. Do you take the risk and engage, or preserve your strength for the battles ahead? The regional campaign map is much more than a strategic overview. It's a living environment. You can move freely in real time, pause to issue orders, scout ahead to avoid ambushes. The enemy is doing exactly the same as well. They march, reinforce, and adapt, often pursuing you if you linger too long in one place, and it creates a rare sense of movement and tension. You're never safe and you're never in full control. For me though, what makes this system shine is how tightly it's bound to logistics. Every step consumes rations, and your men's stamina and morale drain the longer you go without rest or victory. Villages can be traded with, raided, or ignored, but each choice comes with consequences. Raid too often and your reputation begins to collapse. Trade fairly and doors elsewhere might just open for you. There is no endless gold supply, no reinforcements from home, just your army, its provisions, and the land you're marching through. It's a gameplay design that honestly forces you to think like a real commander, not just a ruler of a nation. Of course, this kind of structure makes Master of Command fundamentally different from Total War. You're not managing provinces or diplomacy, you're fighting for survival. You command a core-sized army, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 men at best, and every casualty hurts. You can't just rebuild a regiment once it's gone. Every musket, horse, and cannon must be earned through victory, trade, or conquest. Lose a veteran officer and their experience dies with them, and that is a lot of effort and commitment on your part, so it really hurts. The result is a campaign that feels personal, almost narrative, roleplay driven, where your army evolves not through research trees, but through scars, fatigue, and hard-won experience. Essentially, there's always this delicate balance, this dance between momentum and exhaustion, between ambition and caution. Every decision from when to rest to when to fight ripples across the rest of your campaign. Between all this campaigning, of course, Master of Command shifts from tactics to army management. At its core, the game's management layer here revolves around logistics and attrition. Supplies are everything. Rations determine morale and stamina in your battles. Gold funds recruitment and upgrades, and every march depletes your stores. Your army composition evolves naturally through this struggle, of course. You'll start with a core of line infantry, tired, under-equipped, but loyal, and gradually expand as opportunities arise. Maybe you capture enemy cannons and press them into service, or trade at a market to acquire horses for a small cavalry detachment. Over time, your regiments gain experience and identity. A unit that's fought through multiple campaigns and battles becomes a cornerstone of your army, its banner scarred but proud. Watching these veterans grow and survive despite everything you throw them at builds a sense of attachment few strategy games have achieved. And officers add yet another dimension. As they fight and survive, they gain experience and traits that influence how their regiments behave on the field. A cautious commander might improve defense and discipline, while a bold one boosts aggression but risks exhaustion and casualties. It's a system that hints at the human side of leadership. Your officers aren't just numbers, of course, they're personalities shaping the tone of your army. That said, I would say there is some room for improvement here. Generals currently lack a true retinue or skill tree system, and their presence on the battlefield isn't as distinct as it could be. You can't always tell who's in charge of what, and the inability to rally troops or call reinforcements feels like a missed opportunity. Giving officers more visible roles, both visually and mechanically, could elevate that sense of hierarchy and realism even further. Still, despite all of that, even in its current form, Master of Command nails the feeling of continuity. Every battle feels like a chapter in your army's story, your regiment names, your banners, the scars on your veterans, all of it becomes part of a personal narrative, a story, a campaign that you've been putting together and living. It's the kind of system that makes you care when a unit breaks under fire or when an old officer finally falls. And when that happens, it's not just a statistic, it's a loss you feel. Of course, moving around this regional map, eventually you get two armies that finally meet, and the tone shifts instantly. The real-time campaign map dissolves into a tactical battlefield, a wide expanse of forests, fields, and hills where positioning, timing, and morale decide everything. In my time with the battles, mechanically, combat feels grounded and brutal. Regiments are persistent, every casualty is a face you'll miss in the next engagement. Units tire, waver, and break under pressure. Flanking isn't just a tactical bonus, it is the difference between victory and rout. Stamina and morale intertwine beautifully here as well. Exhausted soldiers reload slower, aim worse, and are more likely to crumble when charged. It's not about flashy cinematic moments, it's about holding the line, rallying your men, and knowing when to retreat before everything collapses. Each regiment is deeply customizable, and those choices that you make there shape how battles play out. Equipping line infantry with rifled muskets might grant better range but slower reloads, while cylindrical ramrods trade accuracy for speed. Add field drummers or musicians and your men can steady their morale even under heavy fire. None of this is cosmetic detail either, it's a web of meaningful trade-offs. You can directly feel the impact of every decision you make in army management and how your battle turns out. The terrain itself becomes your greatest ally or enemy. Hills offer firing advantages but drain stamina faster. Forests conceal troops but slow movement. Marching through mud or snow can exhaust an army before the battle even begins, and because of that, fights rarely unfold the same way twice. Sometimes you'll ambush an enemy column at dawn, catching them before they form their ranks. Other times you'll find yourself cornered, outnumbered, and relying on your last reserves of ammunition and courage to pull through. Out of everything though, morale definitely has the biggest impact on the campaign, far more dynamic than in most strategy games. Units don't just fight until they die, they waver, flee, rally, and reform, responding visibly to your leadership and the flow of the combat. When one flank collapses, panic spreads. When reinforcements arrive or artillery lands a perfect volley, you can almost feel the morale surge ripple through the line. That said, I would say the battles do still have a few things to work on. The retreat system can feel a little bit abrupt. Melee clashes end quickly when one side breaks, and sometimes it's over before you can even savor the push and pull of close combat. Cavalry and artillery are also very expensive and limited early on, which can make some engagements feel a bit too infantry heavy until later campaigns. Yet despite these limitations, battles in Master of Command have a rare sense of intimacy and great tension. You're not just ordering around nameless units, you're commanding men you've led through multiple fights, soldiers who've bled and survived under your leadership. Watching your veteran grenadiers hold a ridge while your line wavers feels meaningful because you know what it costs to keep them alive. So after spending all this time with Master and Command, one thing to me is clear. This is exactly the kind of strategy game many of us have been waiting for. It's grounded, deliberate, realistic, historical, and very focused on the art of command. Every march, every battle, every supply decision feels like it carries weight. You're not managing an empire from a safe distance, you're leading a single force through a brutal, unforgiving campaign. Overall, I would say the best thing about Master of Command is how naturally its systems connect. The campaign, logistics, the tactical layers don't feel separated, they flow into each other seamlessly. Losing men in battle has a direct impact on your next move, and stretching supply lines too far can cost you a hard-fought victory. The result is a sense of continuity that most strategy games simply struggle to achieve. It feels alive, reactive, and built around consequence. That sense of weight trait also extends to the battles themselves. They're gritty and methodical, but they reward discipline and patience. The sound of musket fire, the shifting formations, and the desperate attempts to hold a line under pressure all feel authentic and cinematic in their own way. You can sense the chaos, but you're never detached from it. You are literally in the middle of it all, making split-second decisions that decide the fate of your battle and your campaign. Of course, there is still room to grow. There always is. The scale could be expanded, generals could have more individuality, the campaign could use some more narrative framing, but none of that takes away from what Master of Command already achieves. This is a game built with purpose, designed for players who want historical strategy to feel serious, where every choice matters and every loss is felt. Personally, I don't know about you, but I've missed games like this. I grew up on Empire and Napoleon Total War, and I've wanted something that recaptures that era's sense of command and authenticity for years. Master of Command may not be an Empire 2, but it does refine the formula, strips away the bloat, and focuses entirely on the tactical and strategic heart of warfare. It really doesn't need spectacle or massive battles to impress. The tension and realism speak for themselves. For players who love the age of gunpowder, who want historical depth without endless micromanagement, this is one of the most promising strategy experiences in years. Master of Command understands what made this era so compelling: the leadership, the logistics, and the fragile balance between victory and collapse, and overall, I think it does a very, very good job of capturing it. Either way, this has been my preview of Master of Command, which does release on the 27th of October, so if you're interested, definitely go on Steam and wishlist it. It is coming out very, very soon. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, give it a like, drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of Master of Command and if you're going to be picking it up for yourself. If you're interested in finding out more about Master of Command or other strategy games like it, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.